What's going on, you guys? TBR here, back yet again with another King of Fighters All-Star video, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you have all had what at this point should have been a nice long 3-day weekend for you if you live here in the United States, that is, unless your job absolutely hates you. In today's video, you can already see it on screen, we are going to be summoning for the UE Volume 2 banner in the King of Fighters All-Star for the 5th anniversary, otherwise known as the final piece of this anniversary. It has been what feels like a long anniversary, but it has been a very good anniversary, and we're hoping that now we can finally go in and use not only our hard-earned rubies, of which hopefully we can come away from this without having to use too many of those, because we are going to be going in with not just those, but also our ruby refund rubies. You guys can see that on screen. I have currently 57,000 of these time-limited rubies that we need to use, and this doesn't even consider the fact that we still have a card banner that we need to go into. Yes, I am shuddering internally, and we also have some unfinished business over here on Volume 1, if Volume 2 is nice enough to us. I have my doubts. But before we go ahead and get into all of that and more, make sure if you guys haven't already done so, you smash that like button and subscribe, and let's just go ahead and hop into today's video. So as of the recording of this video, it is currently, for me, it's about 8:30, 9 o'clock. Basically, this banner just came out within the past hour. And with that said, I went in and did kind of a cursory glance at this banner, and I already kind of knew what I was doing with this banner as far as whether I was pulling or not. You guys already know this is the banner I've been waiting for. I just prefer the characters on this lineup, but we do, of course, have Psyche, otherwise known as Awakened Psyche. They have the little mystery question mark thing going on here to hide his identity. Who could he be? But it is, of course, Psyche in his awakened form, and he looks like he is going to be really good. Now, of course, these UE fighters are completely different from the EX fighters as far as kind of how you approach them, and I feel like we're all still kind of learning how to use these characters. So it's going to kind of be a situation where I don't want to kind of tell you, hey, this is a must pull right now. For me personally, this is a character that I really will probably enjoy just because I enjoy Psyche as a character. Kind of reminds me of Zamasu. For those of you who watch Dragon Ball, he's that type of character when it comes to kind of his personality a little bit. But either way, my nerdy rants aside, this is a fun character on paper. He looks like he is going to be dabbling in, the slowdown of the opponent, which is of course going to be something we saw with the original Psyche all the way back in the day, which is kind of fun canonically, but also fun in practice when it comes to in-game. He's going to have stun, he's going to have fear, he's of course going to be a damage dealer. It comes down to how much damage at the end of the day this character is going to be outputting. But then he also has this arrogant state, which looks like it'll be pretty interesting, which is kind of his gimmick as a character here. And of course, that's tied into his phantom abilities. So he looks like he's going to be a lot of fun. And then on the other side of that, we have Kusanagi. This is a character that up until this point, we've only had one version of. It's an SS version, not a bad version, more of a support character. This one is going to have, and I kind of predicted this when I saw both of these characters on this banner being yellow types. Especially after we saw what happened with the first banner leadership abilities. These guys do support the yellow element, and of course we have this leadership skill here, which is kind of a new breed of leadership ability, an upgrade from what we've been used to, which is around the 65 percentile mark. These new characters bring with them the kind of bland but still very relevant fighters attack by 70% to yellow element, so pretty nice stuff. But overall, this is a character that does look like he is going to be dabbling in, of course, being able to help the team, but also on top of that, this is going to be a character that can output some damage, it does look like. So, these characters don't look like they are going to be anything that we can really make too many predictions on until we actually get some hands-on with them again, because they are going to be UE fighters, and these are still things that we're still all trying to get a feel for. We know they're damn good. They're damn good. Really damn good. It just comes down to how damn good, and how do we kind of gauge how damn good they are going forward. Let's get into this damn banner though. So when it comes to how we're approaching this, we already know we want both these characters. We've talked about this ad nauseum. when it comes to the cards, we're just going to plow through this and try and hope for the best. So it's really all we can hope for when it comes to a card banner. I do need everything. Now, I did get lucky enough. I do have the finishers on the other banner, so I don't need to go in on the Volume 1 card banner because they're going to have the same stuff minus the finishers here. So this is where we need to focus most of our time, attention, and energy when it comes to cards. And we can just thankfully avoid this one here without having to worry about it too much. So we will do that. Of course, we do need the set. Probably going to end up wanting at least 2 copies, more than likely at some point by the end of everything. But we do at least want to get one of these, and then we need to get the option cards. These are things that, of course, we want to get before the end of our run here, so that is something we're going to do too. And then it really just kind of comes down to hoping and praying that these card banners don't break us. Luckily, we do, of course, have the aforementioned Ruby refund. I did get the full reimbursement, as you guys can see, so that's really cool. This is the most rubies we've had in forever. So, of course, we can go in here and we can max these characters out. That is the plan on this video. So I'm going to go ahead and just jump right into it. But you guys know how we do things here on the channel. Probably know where this is going, but believe in the heart of the cards. Praise Rico, and let's summon on the UE Fighter Pickup Summon Volume 2, otherwise known as the final part of the 5th anniversary for the King of Fighters All-Star, otherwise known as a good way to break my heart and break my rubies. So when it comes to where we're going to start with the cards. I want to start here because fighters are scary and cards are even scarier, and I want to get the cards out of the way. I just want to pull the band-aid. We're going to get into our hard, well, I guess we did earn them in some respect, didn't we, when it comes to the time-limited ones being part of the Ruby refund. But we're going to hope that we can kind of get through most of this in one pity. That's a great start. We got the finisher for for Psyche. Good lord. So Psyche, we have active skill for this one, so that's nice. We'll take it. It doesn't matter. We're just as happy to have one, because that's how these things always end up, especially when you've got 2 option cards that you're going for. It tends to be a situation where you end up getting multiple copies of the same card over and over and over again, and it makes it very tough to figure out what to do with those pity tickets. And speaking of pity tickets, I'm hoping to only have to go to 2 on cards total. That would be a really nice sweet spot, I feel like, as far as budgeting our rubies. And then if we can go in and just get the A5 on the Psyche first, of course, is kind of the plan there, is where we would like to focus our energy, and pity tickets for that matter. But with that said, it kind of comes down to what we get in the pulls, because we could end up getting a bunch of Kusanagi. We could end up getting a whole lot of nothing. That's kind of how these banners go. We all have talked about it here on the channel, which hopefully you guys are doing well in your summons. I know a lot of people have been excited for this banner, so let me know in the comments section how yours are going. But we have talked about here on the channel at length, ad nauseum, about how difficult it can be to pull cards in this game, as well as the characters themselves. So these banners, it's nice that we got the refund, but it's sad that it feels like you kind of need it every banner in order to be able to keep up with these things or not get completely destroyed by the rates. So it just kind of is what it is. Of course, oh, we got something to turn there, so we'll see what this is. We have, again, just for those of you who have not been paying attention, I know I've been kind of going through these, we have a second copy of what I was about to say, the Psyche finisher card. So hopefully this one's the crit one. This is attack, so now we have the active skill and the attack one. So 2 of the 3 iterations, and of course not the one that I would prefer to have of the 3. So now when it comes to volume 1, it's going to come down to how this banner treats us. I would really like to build Ash. That's really going to be helpful. Okay. Now, is this where we just get a million Psyche finishers? Okay, so we got one of the options. That's good. And Kusanagi's finisher. Okay, so that's really good. We needed both of those. We need one more option. What do we get here as far as, okay, active skill on the Kusanagi finisher, and then of course we got our first copy of this option. So yeah, great stuff there. We still need something for the set. We have no pieces of the set, but as far as the rest of this banner is concerned, knock on wood, not too bad. So we'll keep it going. Speaking of, okay, see which piece we get here. So my personal favorite piece of the entire set. Bit of a fan of this rose here. So yeah, what we got here is the second piece. So this is really good. Love the art. again, good stuff. So yeah, let's just keep it going. Hope we don't get more copies of that same card over and over and over again, because that does tend to happen when it comes to pulling on these card banners. But hey, we'll just keep rolling with it. So far, it is what it is. It's another card banner. You just get what you get. But like I said, hopefully you guys are doing well. Okay. I'm torn. I kind of want to see that card's art again. All right, we'll take those. We take those. All right, so we have two of the three pieces. So now we need, what is this? This is the first one. We need the Mukai one, which is the third one. We can guaranteed get that with a pity ticket and be done. Or we also need the other option. So that's kind of where we're at right now. So we're just going to keep rolling this and see where we end up. So inevitably, a lot of people, though, are going to question, you know, back to Volume 1, which characters are best, which banner is best, etc. Right now, hard to tell. I honestly think Banner 1, depending on kind of how this one turns out, it's going to be a hard one to beat, because Ash is really, really ridiculous. And, you know, it's not like Maki's bad either. Maki's really, really good. It's just that the Ash kind of overshadows her, I feel like, just from a fandom perspective more than anything. That, and I do feel like the Kagura sisters have kind of sort of, I don't want to say had their time, but there's been a lot of Kagura in the game over the past year or so, so I could definitely see, or at least it feels like it does, at this point, what is time. But I feel like that's kind of where that's at, whereas this banner, Psyche, is something that a lot of people are really, really hyped to see. A character that we kind of question whether or not would ever be a playable character, the awakened version, that is. And then when it comes to Kusanagi, of course, people really like Kusanagi here in the community. So, you know, it's a really nice grouping of characters. So it kind of comes down to kind of who you prefer. It really just kind of comes down to who you prefer. You guys can let me know in the comments who you prefer, but I feel like that's really what you should be leaning towards, especially since these UE characters, we don't really know much about how they're planning on handling them going forward, reruns, etc., how those are going to be handled. So if there's a character here, suffice it to say, that you really, really want, I would at least try to make sure that you get one copy of them. But with that said, just do the best that you can with what you got. And if you want to wait to see, you know, I'll be doing things obviously as I am able to build these characters up and use them. Let's hope that is, we're looking for Mukai here. We're looking for Mukai. Then, you know, you can just hang out and enjoy your free copy of Mukai right now, which is an insanely good character, or Magaki, who is a character you could also use right now. There is that card again, but I'm not going to complain right now. So, you know, you can still just enjoy those and then wait to see some footage of these characters in action to make your decision from that point. This is the last multi before we get to the pity, right? So we do still need the third piece, but we're getting a pity ticket, so we could technically be done. We just really need that other option. So that's kind of where we're at there. So I feel like this is a good time to just pivot over to the fighters, because we do at least have the important stuff here, the most important stuff for now, and we can kind of come back. So we do have this one, we still need this one here, and again, we can come back to this, we can get this, we will get this before the end of the video. We just need to go ahead and just start in on this, because we've got pretty much what we need for now from the card. So we'll go ahead and collect that, good stuff. Let's go ahead and go in for the fighter. So rates, thankfully they did not screw us over with that. Overall, the implementation of the UE fighters, I feel like, has not been too bad. So, you know, we'll see, but definitely better than having all new rates, worse rates than what we already have, and having something be potentially disastrous, like needing just that many more memories or what have you. So they didn't do terrible with it. So we're gonna go ahead and start on this. We didn't really use a ton. We just went to that one pity there and did pretty well on cards to start, so we'll hope that that translates over to our fighters. I'm not going to go through all the animations on these either, because we have so many rubies. I don't want this to be an hour-plus long summon video, so we're just gonna kind of, if it doesn't look like we're getting anything on some of these, we're just gonna go, because we are probably going to be doing a lot of multis here, a lot of pities, and that tends to get a little boring. So we'll just go with hopefully what is a lot of really good ones, right? So we're 3 in, got nothing so far, and that's about what I expected, because even though we did do fairly well, I don't know if you guys saw that previous video that I did last week on the Volume 1 pulls, which we did some minimalistic pulls there with our tickets. and that treated us pretty well. And so I don't really think that that's a good indicator, though, of how the banner is going to treat us itself. Just because, I don't know. We've gotten lucky on tickets before and been shafted heavily. So, not my first rodeo with this kind of stuff. We'll see how it plays out. But as I've already stated, though, the priority is Psyche. The priority is Psyche. And at this point, you just go until, you know, they run you out of rubies and break your heart and run you out of your will to live, whichever comes first, and you just hope for the best. That's what you do. It's called the Pull and Pray. Minted that one myself. So far been successful. To varying degrees in my life. What do we have here? So, yeah, what we expected. This looks a whole lot like an EX banner. Now, I know a lot of people are also worried about these characters trivializing EX fighters, and I totally... Oh, okay, well, we got one. Speaking of them, is it that one? Interesting little double... Like, I never knew there was that little, like, flash, that extra flash there. So we'll see who we get here, and then we'll kind of come back to that point, because I know a lot of people are worried about that, and rightfully so. Hi, King. What are we getting here? I wonder who that is. All right, so we start off with a Kusanagi. First copy of Kusanagi, first UE pull on this banner, we will take those. So people are definitely kind of talking about a lot of things surrounding these characters, but one of the things I see a lot of people talking about is the fact that they feel like these are going to trivialize already trivialized content and characters and make the EX fighters just that much closer to being the second coming of the BS and the SS fighters, as much as it pains me to say that, which I don't think that they're necessarily quite yet in that danger zone when it comes to these banners. These banners are, of course, going to be a step up over them for the most part, but there are so many really good EX characters. Like Lady Goenitz, in my opinion, is still the character to kind of beat there. So I feel like that's kind of the bar when it comes to the EX fighters as far as just their usability, viability, utility, just overall performance. So yeah, these banners are definitely up there, and they're definitely going to continue to power creep and power creep and power creep and kill everybody else until there's, you know, no relevance left to be had in any of the older content. And that's just the way that Netmarble plays their game. So, but I don't think we're necessarily there yet. In the future, though, I think that we are definitely going to get there. You can already kind of see where they're going with how this stuff is happening in the game. Plugins and things like that might bring some of these characters a little bit closer to being in line with what we need from them in order to get through some of the new content. But at the same time, I really have a hard time believing that Netmarble is going to want to continuously put out anything that we can just use old characters for that long. I really don't, and I don't see them not having UE characters just trounce, absolutely disgustingly destroy power-wise the rest of these characters at some point this year. Like, it's gonna happen, if it hasn't already happened at this point. So I do think that that's just the nature of the beast when it comes to playing this game, and that's something we've been through. We've all seen what has happened with the BS and the SS fighters kind of just being filler. They're definitely not unified banner characters, but they're definitely not characters that you're going to take in over any of these other ones, unless you just can't get them. Like, I apparently can't get anything on this banner because, you know, we're almost to the pity, I believe, and we've gotten one Kusanagi. That's where we're at, which is great. It's awesome. So yeah, and then there's things like, yeah, the EX characters are still very useful for things like Aegis and things like that right now too. A lot of this other content, it's hard to throw in there, like Guild Raid and Colossus and any of this other stuff, because it's just like, yeah, it's there, it's content, it's stuff you can do, but is it anything that's all that relevant to, like, you can go in and like almost one-shot some of this stuff now, like Guild Raid right now. By the way, we got a UE fighter. Like, Guild Raid, one of these new UE fighters, like, go into a Mukai. See how long it takes you to get to that one key. And then even then, do you really need those memories anymore? Those generic memories for those BS and those SS fighters as much? So it's, I don't know, it's one of those things. All right, so we got our boy, our first copy. Yeah, he is not a fan of humanity. Not much of a fan of the mortals of Earth. So there we go. We got our Psyche, or question mark Awakened Psyche, whatever you want to call them. First one, so that's really cool. First of many, hopefully. We are at, we're nearing halfway through our time-limited rubies, our login / refund rubies. So we'll just skip this, and yeah, 2 away. Hope that we can get one more copy of one of them on the way. That would be at least kind of, I don't know, that to me, 3 copies of character, like any of them, like any combination of them on the way to 1 pity ticket, I feel like that's acceptable. That's fine. Like 2 is borderline. It's like, you did, sure. I feel like that's like the minimum, right? For me personally, be happy about it. So I guess we're settling for the minimum though, because it doesn't look like we're getting anything here. So yeah, nothing's going to turn here. We can just skip that. And that is our first pity down. We have 1 copy of each character and our first pity ticket, and we still have 30k of the time limited rubies. So we're just going to keep going here. Again, guys, we have a lot of our own rubies that we will have to dip into at some point, unless our luck just has kind of this ridiculous turnaround here and we end up just getting showered in UE fighters. Don't see that happening, but we'll see. Now, I will say, though, that one of the nice things about this, and something that people have also been talking about, has been the fact that a lot of people were disappointed we did not get a collaboration. And I had mentioned in a previous video, last video that we did here on the channel, the fact that I feel like this was much more necessary of an update than any collaboration would have been. A collaboration will happen in its own time. Those are fine. But this type of an update where we get all of this new content that's been sorely needed, like just having a new login screen and just having new story mode alone is something that we've needed for so long that I don't care like about the collaboration right now. Can we just need new our other stuff updated first, right? We need to get to a place where the collaborations aren't the only thing we're really here for. And so that's kind of why I'm happy we did kind of one of these weird like almost SNK collaboration things, even though it's obviously an SNK game, it's the King of Fighters, but it's cool to get just a King of Fighters centric event. So I think that's really cool. And to tie it into the story mode, we're going to see who we get here, getting our second copy of Kusanagi. So that's really cool. But, you know, I do think that there is a lot to be said about that, and giving us the new content, rolling out things such as the new rarity, even though I don't know, like I feel like they did do a good job with that, so that's cool. We're getting another one of them. Speaking of, I'm not gonna say anything. We're just gonna see what happens here. See what happens here. A little bit of fireworks here to start this off. Another Kusanagi. That's our third Kusanagi. So 3 Kusanagi and 1 Psyche is where we are at right now. And we are just starting in on our second rotation. We have 1 pity ticket so far. So, but okay. At first I was like, you're spoiling me. But hi, King. So I do feel like this was much cooler in retrospect and at the end of the day than what we could have gotten with a collaboration right now, because we needed this as a community. We really did. And I feel like just getting another collaboration, I don't really care what that is. Okay, cool. Awesome. Orochi. Neat. But I feel like we just needed this as a community more than that, and we'll get our collaboration down the road. So I don't really see why people are that upset about that. I know a lot of people probably wanted to be able to use like ruby refund rubies and stuff like that on it. What are we getting all these regular unified banner fests now? It's ridiculous. But you know, it is what it is, right? We're still getting some really unique character models here. We're getting some cool characters in general. We're getting new stuff added to the game. So at first I was really confused, and I thought I had no joking here, but I thought I was having a stroke. Like, what? Did I just get 2 fests and a what? What is happening? Okay, so we got a Liz. That's 1 regular fest. Okay, so we got another Psyche. That's our second Psyche. So 3 Kusanagi, 2 Psyche. I mean, question mark, question mark, question mark. I mean, Awakened Psyche. What? What? All right, well, that's a screenshot if I ever saw one. We're just gonna move on from that because that's cursed. So anyway, put it on the old score sheet, right? So we're just gonna keep this going. I at first, when all of those flashed at the same time, I really did not have a clue what was about to happen. Like, first I wanted to get really excited because I thought there were like 2 UEs, but then I realized that I was like, one of those is blue, but the other 2 are purple. What the hell's going on? That was weird. That was very bizarre. You guys can let me know in the comment section. Have you had that happen to you on this banner? It was really weird. So, but yeah, so with that said, we are going to get a collaboration this year. It'll happen before the end of the year. What it is, God only knows. It could be any number of things, but I think that there's a lot to be said about collaborations and the value that they offer the game and the good things that they've done with them, but I don't really necessarily see why everybody feels like they're like the be-all end-all of the game either. I feel like this update proves that they can easily do things outside of a collaboration. They're still just as rewarding and cool for the player base. We're getting another copy of a character here. See what we get here. And it'd still be really exciting as long as they have the amount of effort there. And I feel like what they've done alone with like bringing in the characters' voice actors for some of these roles again. Okay, we're getting another Psyche. That's our 3rd. I think that's our 3rd. So I think we're at 3 Psyche, 3 Kusanagi now, if I remember correctly. But even just from that standpoint of bringing the voice actors back for some of these characters, and on top of that, also the animations, some of these characters, like this Psyche, not necessarily the easiest character from a design standpoint, I'd imagine, to fully realize into this game. And I know a lot of people want to make fun of the fact that he's got, you know, that caveman fighting style. He's throwing rocks around, slinging rocks at people. But you know what? I mean, maybe he ended up watching the first chapter of the remake of It, and he really just likes having rock fights now. Maybe that's his thing. Maybe we just shouldn't judge people for their hobbies, even if they are, you know, some Frank from frickin' Hellraiser looking mother. Oh, what? I don't want that. But anyway, tangent aside, I think we should all just be more tolerant of the fact that man enjoys a good rock slinging from time to time. But I digress. We're almost at the end of our 2nd pity. Almost. Doesn't count. What's the average median age of this multi? All right, now we have 4 more. I do want to see, didn't catch where we necessarily were at when it comes to the amount of time limited rubies we have left. I think we're somewhere hovering around 20-ish K. And somebody's going to ask me in the comment section, because I had kind of used a few of them, things like absolute war battles. I might have even extended, we have 15K left. I might have even extended, like, for instance, my imprint stone inventory box by 1 or 2 at some point. So that's kind of what happens there. Over time, them just sitting there, things happen like that. So it is what it is. But didn't use enough of them for it to be that big of a difference. So we're down to our last 2. 3 of each character, if memory serves correctly, which at this point in the day, being that it is probably pushing like 9:30. And I'm actually off tomorrow, which is really nice. So I'll be able to actually play around with these characters. That'll be really cool. I get an extra day when I've been working like a dog lately. And I'm sure a lot of you are well aware of that based on my upload schedule at this point. I know I've talked about it several times, but definitely been just busy. However, we are getting into my favorite time of the year, which is October. Favorite part of the year is the fall. All right, guys. So we picked up our 2nd pity ticket. Again, we are going to continue here. We have 12K, so we are going to start officially dipping into our actual rubies here on this multi, or on this pity rotation, rather. So this is where things start to get a little bit more serious. The fun is almost over when it comes to our refund rubies. There's a lot of Ralph going on, a lot of Ralphing happening here. So, you know, we're not too far away from where we want to be, but we're definitely not where we want to be. We do have 2 pity tickets, so we do technically, to finish what we've started here and to at least get the A5 Psyche, if we consider the fact that we've gotten 3 of them and the 2 pities, we need essentially 3 more copies. Kind of where we're at right now, if I'm doing my math correctly. Somebody in the comments at this point will say something and let me know, which is cool. So let me know, but I think that's where we're at. Okay, nothing. It's always trepidatious when you come off a kind of a nice, like, I feel like we did really well on that last one. That was one of those ones where it was like, okay, feeling good, but then they knock you back down to earth real quick with the way they treat you in this game. So, yeah, and again, I'm just gonna click through some of these, the ones that look like they're just dead. You'll have to forgive me, but it is what it is. So, yeah, other things in this update as well, there is a grindy aspect to what we have right now too. There's a lot to play. Between all the different things that you need to do for your event missions every day, because you definitely want to be doing those to get those different currencies. You also have just kind of what has become the daily grind, as well as the lament of what we now have with the plugin challenge, which the plugin stuff is a whole different set of worms, but that also adds a lot to kind of the grind of the game at this point. And I'm sure that we're going to get ways to get these things a little bit quicker, a little bit easier over the time. And we still haven't even gotten much of in the way the different chapters to it. We can only go up to 2 tiers at this point, and they say that we're going to get more. God only knows when that'll be. It almost makes me like cringe reading that, because it's like, oh God, it's Netmarble. We may never see this content. We'll hope for the best, but you know, I feel like there's potential there. It's just really going to come down to what the future holds as far as how Netmarble holds up their side of things with it. But it does feel like it's really grindy right now because we have so much going on. So it'll be interesting to see what the grind looks like once all the events have kind of come and passed. And man, they are really beating me up right now. But I feel like that right now it looks fine, but it is going to, you can tell, scale crazily. Like once they open up some of these other chapters, people are going to notice they're going to hit walls really quick without some of these newer characters. Right now, the EX characters can kind of plow through it. Again, Lady Goenitz is like my favorite thing in this game, so I just use her for damn near everything, and she plowed through the yellow one. I've gotten through, I think, 4 or 5 of them at this point, so at least what we're able to play of them at this point. I am getting nothing on this rotation. This is rough. We are already halfway through this rotation. This is the 3rd one. We've gotten nothing. And I feel like this is where it starts to even out. And we are, after this, getting into our rubies. We are getting away from the freebies and into our own stuff. Doesn't feel good. All right, this should be it. Yep, the last 60. Goodbye, Ruby Refund. It was nice knowing you. You were good to me while you lasted. All right. We still haven't finished the cards. This doesn't also consider Banner 1, which we'll definitely have to kind of consider where we're at here at a certain point. So we're getting a fighter. At this point, I'm kind of hoping, I'm leaning towards one side and just hoping it's a Psyche, because I would like to get out of this on the next rotation. All right, so we got another one. That gives us 4. We have 2. We'll have a 3rd pity ticket here. Yeah, we're getting real close to being able to finish what we wanted here. And then from there, we'll see what happens. Haven't made any decisions quite yet. We'll see what happens. All right, wouldn't be a video if I didn't click on those rubies, right? For those of you who've been following the channel long enough, you would know. All right, so I feel like this next pity rotation, depending on how this ends up, is going to tell us a lot about where this is going the rest of the way. All right, final one. Be nice to get one of them here. We are using our own rubies at this point, so it'd be nice. We're not going to, but that's okay. All right, so we got nothing there. I am curious. We're just gonna kind of check, and I actually cleaned out. For those of you who have made comments, I've seen comments about this, and for good reason. Where is it here? So I cleaned this up. This is no longer just ridiculous, just stuff. There was so much stuff. Okay, so we have 3 of them right now. We'll actually go in and see. So we got 3, 3, so 6. All right, so we're almost there. We'll try to finish it on this pity rotation, God willing, and then Mr. Kusanagi will get what is left over at that point. Or maybe, depending on how things end up, Maybe we'll decide we want to finish off the Kusanagi too. I don't know. I haven't decided, like I said. I just really wanted to get the Psyche first, and then after that, make a decision from there. So, yeah, don't put me on the spot. Comment section. I know what you're out there thinking, typing, saying. All right. We have not been on the best run, though, this past, like, rotation and a half. So, at the same time, as much as we're getting there, we're also hitting a bit of a rough patch. Don't want that to get lost in all of the, counting our chickens before they're hatched and such. Or in this case, our genocidal question mark fleshy man. Anyway. What do we got here? I had a feeling on this one. I don't know why. What's it gonna be? Like how blue used to be like the last thing you wanted to see. Now it's like, oh, woo. Another Kusanagi. We will take those. Is that 4 Kusanagis at this point? I don't know. I've lost count. I think that's 4 Kusanagi. Either way, we take those. We're happy about that. All right. Being that this is probably our last rotation, hopefully our last rotation, please. All right. Who's it gonna be? There you go. So this could definitely be the last one if we wanted it to be, because I believe that pretty much, if we consider the pity tickets, that's it. That's all we really needed for the Psyche side of things, which, you know, not too bad. Not too bad. We do still need this pity ticket, so from this point forward, whatever happens, happens. Pity tickets can still go to Kusanagi if necessary. Right now is really interesting, though. I was gonna ask, is she okay? Like, does she need... She clearly needs help. All right, what are we getting here? Kusanagi! That's 5 copies, I think? I don't know. I've lost all track at this point of where I'm at. I have no clue what is going on anymore. I have no idea. Not a single, not even a shred of a clue of where this is going at this point. All I know is I'm here for it. And, you know, whatever happens, there's a lot of Andy here. A lot of Andy. A lot of Kusanagi. More Kusanagi. We are at 6, I believe, now, Kusanagi. We're probably gonna A5 them both. At this point, yeah, sure. This is great. Come to daddy. We'll take more of those. All right, guys. Well, we're just gonna ride out the last pity rotation, see where we end up. Part of me wants to go in and start building the characters just to kind of catch up on where we're at in game plan, but I know we at least need whatever we get from this, so we're just gonna go here. Just gonna go. It's gonna be nothing. Just keep going. Just keep going. It's powering through. We're almost there. All right, boys and girls. I did not expect the Kusanagis to just start like jumping in there, but very happy that they did. That's great. Hey, King, we'll take those. We always take more Kings here around here. You know, and that's another thing too that does bother me personally, though. I will say about this whole situation, it feels like now we can kind of have an excuse to go back and do even more of these characters as a new rarity, which for me, there's a lot of characters I've been kind of like holding off for and hoping for from the KOF 15 roster. I really have been just, you guys know, I want the King, of course. The EX King was the dream, but then of course other characters like Geese, Terry, Rock, all these characters I've been waiting for. When are those going to happen at this point? That's another big question mark now, even bigger than it was before. So there's a lot to consider there, because you know that they're going to want to go in and probably do like UE versions of some of these characters that were successful or historically popular and have gotten them a lot of revenue over the years. And I totally get that and understand that mindset, but at the same time, there are a lot of characters that deserve spotlight, and I don't feel like that really helps push that forward any at all. I think it actually probably is more of a detriment, like I said. So we'll see where it goes. They could do any number of things. I do think theming things would be fun. We do at some point need to get a Benimaru at this juncture. I think it's crazy we have not gotten him, especially considering how important he is to just a lot of the different things that go on in the story of some of these different things that they put out. So as a character, I feel like he's important to get that from at some point soon, just because, again, he didn't even get a version from 15 in here yet. So, you know, that man's time has come, historically speaking, not just from a lore standpoint, but we're down to the final one here, by the way. Our luck completely fell off a cliff there after that big high. All those Kusanagi's coming out. No more. Okay, we'll let this one play out, see where we're at. Okay. All right. So at this point, what are we getting here? What are we gonna do? So at this point, what we're gonna do is we are going to go in and we're going to do a little bit of character building, right? Yay, everybody's favorite thing in the world. I actually hate doing this part on camera. This part just annoys me in general because I feel like it takes so much to build these characters. Like, there's so many different menus and things you've got to do. It's just crazy to me that we're still doing this at this point in life. Like, can we not get a better way of doing things? No, I never use those, and I never use those. I'm going to use those, and I'm going to use those. A lot of people didn't actually, the last time I did this on camera, a lot of people had commented saying they'd never seen that you could actually drag and drop those things and move those around. That was something I actually didn't know for the longest time as well. But yes, you can. And for those wondering why I do that, I salvage these. All these always get salvaged. These are what you want to use ideally, these types of things for building your characters. And the other ones you just want to salvage out for whatever from the shop. So that's something that you can do there. Makes your life a little bit easier. That way you don't have to do what I did for the longest time and go in and salvage them first and then build your character. So that is a thing. So we're just going to build up Psyche here real quick on camera. I'm not going to do like everything, but I do want to just go ahead and I'll do this real quick because otherwise somebody out there will think that I legitimately am going to be playing my Psyche without any of his cores and be like, oh, you forgot this. Like, I didn't forget. I just was trying to be considerate of your time, sir or madam. I apologize. Not really. I'm trying to gauge kind of where I'm at this point and just get this part done, and then we can kind of reassess because we might be finishing that Kusanagi. I don't know, it depends. Like, it's gonna come down to where we're at. So all right, we're gonna awaken you. We have a lot of pity. We have 3 pity tickets right now, 3 of them, which is wild that we're already talking about having finished this character on 3 of those, considering our luck on those things. I'm also curious to see, just bare bones, where this guy's CP is going to end up being. Of course, we all know the CP on these characters is utterly ridiculous, but I'm actually kind of wildly fascinated by how high up we can get this. Because you guys have seen some of my like EX characters and stuff. Like, when I fully max out a character, I go hog wild. Like, Transcendence, everything on their cards, everything. All right, this character is already getting pretty high up there. Of course, he doesn't have any of his equipments or anything of that nature, but still impressive. Damn impressive. We'll say that. All right, almost there. I could probably just skip the capsules, but at this point, you know, why not? All right, so basically, where are we at? We need to... I've got 3, so I have enough to get him to the A5. So I was tracking everything correctly. Kusanagi, where are we at on him? 5. Wow. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and do this real quick. Might as well just get this out of the way. It's gonna have to happen anyway, so we'll just do this real quick and just get this done. Now, again, I apologize for building these on camera. Again, I hate this part, but people comment about this sometimes when I skip it. Like, I feel like people, of course everybody's different, but I always felt like people didn't like this kind of stuff where you're just sitting here building the character and showing off how ridiculously, like, to me, this is just a lot. Like, look at all this stuff. I feel like that at this point in the game, there should be a little bit of a quicker way of doing some of this stuff, or a better way of doing some of this stuff, because none of it's changed really over time. Of course, we've had new things implemented, like the awakening system, etc. cores and what have you. Yeah, that's not even considering the rest of the cores in here too. So, you know, there's a lot to consider, but that's part of the problem. I feel like we could do some things to maybe expedite that process, make that process not as, well, this, because it does take a while. Again, there's a lot of stuff, but that's all good. It is what it is. I just feel like there's some kind of simplification things that could happen in this game, but dev team being what it is at this point, probably not top of the priority list for them, and I totally get that, you know, and hats off to them for this update. I know I've sounded pretty happy about this update overall, and it's because I am. So I definitely am not upset about this update in any way, shape, or form. I'm not sad, like I've mentioned, that we didn't get a collaboration or whatever the case may be. I'm just happy to see the game being the King of Fighters All-Star again for a change, and not just focusing on some like other IP or focusing on content to appease people for a day. I feel like there's a lot to be said about what they've done here with this, and I feel like they've done a really good job with it. Has it been perfect the whole way through? Could they have done things a little bit differently here and there? Well, yes, of course, you could say that about any update. But at the same time, I feel like this one has been a strong one, and I'm definitely not going to complain about what we got here. So we are almost there, and I can already tell you guys right now, this video is not over. Video is not over. As much as I kind of would prefer to say that we could be done here, we are not done, because looking at this at this point, yes, I can just go in and A5 the Psyche, but we're this close on this guy. I mean, should we? Or should we go in on Banner 1? Like, that's the thing, like, I don't know, guys. I don't know. I need 2 more Kusanagi. 2 more Kusanagi. I do not know what I want to do here. I think I'm just gonna keep going. Yep, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna finish off, because there's no point at this point in this process. We have come this far, right? We have come this far. We need 2 more Kusanagi. If we pull 1 Kusanagi onto the way of the pity, then we're done, right? I mean, just kind of divvy up our tickets as necessary and call it a day. We got another Orochi, sure. Or if we get another Psyche, then we can just go that route and just be done with it that way. Like, there's a bunch of different ways we could kind of do things here. I feel like unless we get completely shafted, this is kind of mandatory. I feel like we have to do this at this point. And then we still have enough of our rubies to regroup for the other one. We're not going to be A5ing anybody on the other banner, more than likely, but at the same time, I do want to finish off, if I can, the Kusanagi. So we'll see where this goes. Like I said, if I get a Psyche here, then that turns one of these pities into a Kusanagi memory, essentially, right? Because we were going to use it on Psyche anyway. So we got another Psyche. There it is. Boom. So good stuff. Like, this is, like I said, this is something I feel like we need to do. Somebody out there probably, you know, in hindsight being 2020, again, these characters just came out. Maybe they end up being terrible and I wasted the rubies. It is what it is. That's how it happens sometimes. But at the same time, these are the characters I was interested in. I don't really like view Banner 1 as being like a personal necessity for me. So I'm just going to hold off. The A3 on the other ones is kind of more in line with where I was thinking I would end up anyway. All right. It's good stuff. What we need. Doesn't matter at this point. I mean, it is what it is. What are we getting here? Another Kusanagi. There it is. So we got another Kusanagi, guys. And that basically, essentially, like that wraps this whole thing kind of up for the most part at this point, right? I feel like that takes care of it. Like, we go to the pity, we're done. Unless we get another... If we got another Psyche, does that put us there as well? I don't know. We'll see. Either way, we're coming down to the end here. Just exciting in and of itself to still have something to show for it at the end of everything. Because that is not something I'm used to. Not used to being able to A5 a character and still have 60,000 rubies or whatever I'm going to end up having here. All right, so at this point, I do want to stop and see just real quick. Do this. Boom, and we got that done. So now we got the A4. Over 8, oh, damn. Crazy. All right, the CP on these characters is just absurd. All right, so we need 1 more for Kusanagi. And we need 2 more for the Psyche, right? So with that said, that means we have 1 memory here. Let's take a look, because I'm pretty sure we're done. Are we done? What do we got here? We're done, boys. We are done. So yeah, that pretty much, we have 4. Must have miscounted somewhere along the way here. Probably gonna end up having spent a little bit more than we needed to there. How many do we actually need? I think we just need 3, right? Yeah, so that's a thing. So yeah, we kind of miscounted a little bit there. Somebody help me. I need somebody to keep track for me next time. But anyway, that's fine. Either way, totally cool. We're good, guys, at this point. I think that I will say this has not been the perfect event, but I will say that they did a really good job overall with what they decided to do here. And I think that at the end of the day, a lot of people out there just need to understand that this game is not necessarily like making loads and loads of money for Netmarble anymore. It really isn't. It never really was, like, let's face it. But even now, especially, we're at 5 years in, and the fact that we're getting this kind of content at this point is still really nice to see. I do think that the game is probably, and not trying to, you know, end this off on a sad note or be doom and gloom at all, I do think the game is kind of getting old in age. You know, it's getting up there. Things are going to start probably kind of changing in ways that feel like sometimes they're the end of the game. But let's all just kind of try to roll with the punches. I feel like there's been a lot of doom and gloom around the game, and for good reason here and there. But I don't feel like we necessarily need to be at a certain point anymore to where, you know, we take it all so seriously. Most people that played this game at this point, I feel like, are probably of the veteran status. I've been playing this game for a long time. We've been through the ups and the downs. We've seen all that there is to see when it comes to the ridiculousness from Netmarble, both good and bad. And I do think there's more good than bad to be had over the course of the history with this game. So with that said, guys, I feel like let's just kind of, you know, going forward here, post-anniversary, let's just kind of give them a bit of the benefit of the doubt, see where it ends up, and we'll just judge it accordingly from there. You know, and yes, I did go overboard when it comes to summoning on this banner, but, you know, what can you do? But anyway, you guys, that's going to do it for me. I hope you all enjoyed the summon video. Yes, we will go back in on this banner at some point very, very soon. I do also need to pick up that other option card. So I'm going to be going back in probably primarily on this banner for the cards at some point very soon. You guys will be able to see that here, and we can kind of go through and do all that. But right now, I want to go ahead and play around with these characters, edit this video up, and get this out to you guys. So we'll come back to this. But right now, closing out this banner, resounding success. Still have 60k rubies, and yeah, I have an extra pity ticket laying around because I can't count, and yeah, it is what it is. What can you do? But anyway, you guys, I hope your summons have gone just as well as mine did in this video. Let me know how yours have gone in the comment section down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Peace.
Continue.